Welcome back. Three days in a row. We're just gonna keep this momentum going. Woke up this morning and I was like, all right, let's do this NHL playoff predictions. I got NBA. I got the mock draft done. Let's go 3 for 3 in these last 3 days. And I go and I'm like, let me just throw in something hockey related. Let's do it. I as much of a hockey fan that I am, and I am very much a casual hockey fan. This is not my favorite sport by any means, and this is just when I really watch hockey is when it comes into the goes into the playoffs, and I just look at my like I have no hockey stuff, so you're getting just OSU stuff, and I apologize for any hockey fans slash Canadians in advance if you guys do see this. I apologize in advance for these predictions, but not a whole lot. Not like I don't really have any personal connections with any of these teams. Really, like obviously Columbus isn't in. Detroit was eliminated late into the regular season. I do like Vegas just because of like the presentation and the pregame stuff that they do. I think that's really cool. Utah, of course, is cool because they're different. They're different. They're new now. Edmonton, they have the best player in the world on their team. I love watching Connor McDavid, especially in a playoff format. I've been rooting for him to get another cup, to get his first cup. Unfortunately, it has not happened. We'll see what I think this year. Dallas, they're okay. I like the Avalanche with Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon and all of them. Buffalo, who have been horrible for the past, I don't even know how long. I think this is the first time in 15 years that they've made the playoffs. And not only do they make the playoffs, they're the first seed in the Atlantic this year. They will play Boston in the first round. Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't know anybody who outside of the state of Florida who likes the Tampa Bay Lightning. Any Florida team these Florida teams are ridiculous when it comes to winning. We had as soon as we got out of the Tampa 3 straight years in the Cup, we got Florida. Florida will be back. The Panthers, that is, they will be back in these playoffs. They just had a really unlucky season with all their injuries. Montreal Canadiens, last time they were in the playoffs, I believe, was their Cup run in 21. They that was like or 20. I think it was actually 20, not even 21 yet. It was like the Canadian division where it was like Winnipeg and Toronto and Montreal. Montreal was like 4 games above 500, but they somehow snuck into the playoffs. Came back against Toronto 3-1. I believe they swept Winnipeg in the second round. I remember they played Vegas and beat them in like 6 or 7 games and then lost to Tampa in the finals. But that was their last time in the playoffs up until this year. We'll see what they do. Poetically, it's against the team that they last faced in the playoffs in the Tampa Bay Lightning. No Carey Price this time, but they do have pretty good goaltenders from what I hear. I have not been paying attention to regular season hockey really at all. The Carolina Hurricanes, always playoff disappointers. We'll see how far they get into the playoffs this year. But they always burn me when it comes to this stuff. I've been doing this kind of off camera for a while. And they just always seem to just lose early in the early rounds. Like they can just never score. And against the Ottawa team that is, remember when they played Toronto, they were in it to win it there. Like they were no slouch. They did not just roll over and let Toronto just take that series. Toronto had to fight for that series. And Ottawa very well could have won that. It will not surprise me if Ottawa gives the Carolina Hurricanes a similar style of fight in this series. And then it's like the Georgia Tech rivalry, clean old-fashioned hate. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. This is going to be the series to watch here. This is the environments in both of these stadiums are going to be amazing. The physicality. This might be Crosby's last run at a cup. This is huge. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are teams that no one expected to get into the playoffs this year. They did. Michkov on Philadelphia, of course, Sidney Crosby on Pittsburgh. My feelings for Pittsburgh are well known, regardless of sport. I don't like them. I never have, never probably will. But it would be really cool if, I will say, if Crosby can make a deep run and maybe call it quits at the end of that, maybe pass the torch to somebody. That would be really cool to see. But we can't predict the future. Even though that's exactly what I'm trying to do in this video, regardless. So let's just start off in this area over here with the Colorado Avalanche and the LA Kings. LA, for the past few seasons, have actually played Edmonton in the first round, and they've gotten beat every single year. They just they finally get off of the Edmonton thing. Edmonton's down here in the number 2 spot, but for the Pacific, that is not the Colorado Central, I think it is. But LA's got to play the Colorado Avalanche, and Colorado wins. I don't see anything where Colorado does not win in this game. Nathan MacKinnon, I'm pretty sure Colorado won the President's Trophy this year. I just don't think that LA really has a lot for Colorado. I think they probably steal one with goaltending, or maybe a last second goal at some point, maybe in LA, or maybe they even steal one in Colorado. But yet again, being up in those mountains is going to be an advantage for the Avalanche. And then the Dallas Stars and Minnesota Wild. This series is going to be close. Dallas has consistently been one of the 4 best teams in the NHL, and they are very experienced when it comes to getting far in the playoffs. It's just getting over the hump and winning a final. And they just haven't been able to do it. They've been, whether it was Vegas or Edmonton or Colorado, there was always a team that was always hotter than them, better than them, something. And they were able to get to, actually no, Montreal I think was 21. So take back what I said. That was 21. I think Dallas made the finals in 20, and that was like the COVID year. And then lost to Tampa in the finals there. And that was Tampa's first cup. 21 was when they actually had fans in for a little bit of the last half of the playoffs. But Dallas, whoever it is, they have made a cup finals once. They've been to multiple conference finals, haven't been able to get over that hump. And Minnesota, a team that is on the up and up. They've been in the playoffs a little bit before. I think they've won a few playoff series. But like Dallas, they were never a team where it was like, oh, watch out for Minnesota. It was like, okay, Minnesota won, but they have whoever is right up with them, and that it sucks because now they got to go. Whoever wins this series is going to go play Colorado, a very, very good team, and Colorado has all the pressure on them, and maybe that works out in one of these two teams' favor, and they don't have any pressure on them to win, and that propels them into getting an upset over Colorado. I think I am going to go with the Minnesota Wild here. I just kind of have a feeling that this is going to be kind of the downfall of the Dallas Stars. And maybe I'm completely off on that, but I am going to go with the Wild there to play the Colorado Avalanche. And then these two games right here I've heard a lot about. The Vegas Golden Knights. Like we all know, they their first year in the NHL, they made the finals and ended up losing to the Washington Capitals. The next year, I think they lost in the playoffs to the San Jose Sharks. A few years down the line, losses to Montreal because Marc-Andre Fleury can't tend the goal and lets in a stupid goal at the end of Game 5, maybe even Game 6, to lose that series. But they finally get over the hump a few years ago, and they've been trying to get back to that. They just fired their coach a little bit ago. They're hot. And I think they've only lost one game, and it was an overtime or a shootout. It wasn't even a regular season game or a regulation loss yet. That obviously will be soon. I think Utah pushes Vegas to maybe 6 or 7 games, but I think the experience of the Vegas Golden Knights with Mark Stone and especially Mitch Marner, who has a lot of pressure on him this year to win. He just got traded from Toronto last offseason. And, a lot of Toronto fans and Canada really is going to be watching how Mitch Marner does. I actually think Mitch Marner is a huge, huge reason why Vegas wins this series. I'm going to have the Vegas Golden Knights moving on and beating the Utah Mammoth. And then right here with Edmonton and Anaheim, I so badly want to pick Anaheim in here. I think Anaheim can capitalize on a lot of Edmonton's weaknesses defensively, especially goaltending. If Edmonton has had the goaltending that they've had this entire regular season, that has been horrible from what I hear. It's going to be bad. Anaheim's going to win this in 5, maybe 6 games. But you always have to counter with that is, what about Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl? I know Draisaitl has been a little banged up, especially coming into the playoffs, but it's Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid is the best player in the world, and there's no one else denying that. I think that he doesn't let his team, he kind of wills his way back into the series. Maybe Anaheim takes a 3-2 lead, and McDavid takes over Game 6 and Game 7, and they win it here in it would be in Edmonton in Game 7, but they also win in Anaheim in Game 6. So let's take a look here. They want us to predict the game. So I think, like I said, Edmonton and Anaheim go 7. I'm going to go 6 games with Vegas and Utah. I just don't think Utah is quite ready. I think they might be even a year away from making that run. I am going to go with Colorado in 5, and Minnesota and Dallas in 6 games. So let's go with that. And then we'll move on to this side over here with the Buffalo Sabres and Boston Bruins. Buffalo, great story. First time they've been to the playoffs in well over 10 years. Really burst onto the scene. I don't think anyone was really expecting anything from them this year. Maybe they improve a little bit, but I don't think anyone expected them to get the number 1 seed in the Atlantic this year. With teams like Toronto falling off and the Florida Panthers falling off, that opened the door for Buffalo, and they took advantage of that opportunity. And it's a great story, but we have to remember who's playing Buffalo. It's the Boston Bruins. If anybody is going to beat this team, it would be Boston. Like, the storybook fairy tale of the Buffalo Sabres getting ended by the Boston Bruins. Would that surprise anybody? I don't think it would. I'm going to take Boston over Buffalo. I am rooting for Buffalo in this series. I think that environment in Buffalo is going to be huge. With the Buffalo Bills and everything being done, I think a lot of people that aren't necessarily hockey fans but are Buffalo fans are going to come to these games, make that a rowdy environment. But who is more experienced in those types of environments more than the Boston Bruins, especially as an organization? So I am going to go with Boston to advance on the Buffalo Sabres, and then the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Montreal Canadiens. I like Montreal. I think that this is a really good story once again, but it comes down to goaltending. And Vasilevsky, if he stands on his head like he has been for the past few playoff runs, really, that Tampa Bay has had. I know he struggled against Toronto when they eventually did lose to Toronto that one year. Obviously, this is not, and I think Vasilevsky might even win the Vezina this year. I'm pretty sure I've heard that somewhere. So it's going to come down to that. These playoff margins are so tight. I am going to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning in the most unlikable second round series of like, this is the series I'm going to be like, oh my God, whoever wins, I just hope they lose in the next round. And that's just that's who I think it's going to go with. And then the Carolina Hurricanes and the Ottawa Senators. I love Ottawa. I'm probably going to be ending up rooting for Ottawa in this series, but Carolina just has me so scared. And I honestly think that this is going to be a series that is going to be a very tough it out type series. I do probably think this series is going to go 7 games, But with Ottawa, I just don't think that they have enough talent on their team to take out a team like the Carolina Hurricanes, a team that was always up there in terms of getting maybe not the President's Trophy, but they are a cup contending team. I can't say the same about Ottawa, so I am going to go with the Carolina Hurricanes in that series. And then this series, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, the series that I will be watching. This will be an amazing series. Like I said before, the environment is going to be top notch. Sidney Crosby has dominated this Flyers team for his entire career, and it would be poetic for Sidney Crosby's last run to end at the hands of the Philadelphia Flyers. I think everyone is kind of rooting for the Flyers here. The little underdog story with Matchbay Michkov and all the rest of that Flyers team. I think Michkov is on Philadelphia. He might not even be on Philadelphia. I'm pretty sure he's on Philadelphia. But that would be awesome for Philadelphia to finally exercise their Sidney Crosby demons and maybe even send him out the door in his career. I don't see it happening. I'm going to pick the Pittsburgh Penguins to get it done in 6 games. To add salt in the wound, it will be in Philadelphia in Game 6. I think Sidney Crosby waves goodbye to the Philadelphia crowd, maybe one last time, and exits the ice with a win, moving on into the second round. I do think that this series right here goes to 7 games. I'm thinking maybe 5 games for Edmonton, or not. I keep saying Edmonton, for Montreal and Tampa Bay. And I'm thinking maybe 6 games for Boston and Buffalo. No sweeps so far in these rounds. I think I am a little bit nervous about that. But, Anaheim could very well sweep Edmonton, honestly. That would be a series where I would say if there was going to be a sweep, it would be that. I don't think we had any sweeps last year, I'm pretty sure. But it goes to show how good this league has become in these playoffs. And the top level teams have just kind of leveled out with each other. And that's only good for the sport. So let's move on to the second round with Colorado and Minnesota. Like I said before, all the pressure right now is on Colorado. And if Colorado can get by Minnesota, I think they have a pretty good shot of getting to the finals. I am going to go with Colorado here just to kind of get over that hump there. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Minnesota does actually get over their demons and get by Colorado. But I can't pick the President's Trophy winning team to go down to the second round. I just can't do it. And then Edmonton and Vegas, 2 teams that have been scrutinized, and rightfully so, honestly. I just think Vegas is the more hotter team right now. Connor McDavid probably takes 1 or 2 games. I think I'm going to go with Vegas, maybe even in 6 games. I know they're not going to probably make me do the number of games for these rounds, but I am going to go with the Vegas Golden Knights to get back to the conference finals for the first time since their cup run. And then it's going to be the Boston Bruins and the Tampa Bay Lightning. I, once again, trust Vasilevsky more than I do at any of these teams in Boston. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning to get back to the conference finals for the first time since their 3-peat attempt. No, they didn't. Did they? Since their second cup. I don't know if they got. I can't remember or not if they went to the conference finals. No, they did, because they lost to Colorado that year. So yes, the first time since their 3-peat attempt against Colorado in the finals. That is, because they did move on from the conference finals. I'm sorry, you get what I mean. And then the Carolina Hurricanes and the Pittsburgh Penguins. My mind tells me Pittsburgh because of Sidney Crosby. Once again, because of Sidney Crosby. I just can't do it. I'm going to go with the Carolina Hurricanes here to move on and break Sidney Crosby's heart for maybe the last time in his career. And maybe that is the passing of the torch from Pittsburgh to Carolina. And right now, we have a Final Four of Colorado, Vegas, Tampa Bay, and the Carolina Hurricanes. So we'll start back up here with Colorado and Vegas. I just trust Colorado a lot more if it comes to this. I know Vegas has beaten Colorado before. I think Vegas actually have swept Colorado before. I'm just going to go with Colorado. I think Vegas kind of makes a few mistakes that they are kind of uncharacteristic of them. Maybe Mitch Marner makes a mistake here and there, and that might cost him in this series. And then Tampa Bay and Colorado, Carolina. I know Carolina's problem over the last few years has been goal scoring, and Tampa Bay's strength is goaltending. I just can't. I can't pick Carolina. I don't know why I keep doing that. Carolina to lose to Tampa Bay. I can't pick another Florida. I can't, in good conscience, pick another Florida team to go to the finals. So with that in mind, I'm going to go to the Carolina Hurricanes and my Stanley Cup champion. I think if it's not going to be this year, when is it ever going to be again? I think the Colorado Avalanche, the President's Trophy winning Colorado Avalanche, sweep the regular season, are the best team in the regular season, and are the best team in the playoffs. They beat the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm not even going to do this with you guys because I honestly probably would just look up the average number of goals in the finals. But, it is what it is. That is going to be my Stanley Cup bracket. Let's just look at this one more time. Colorado defeats the LA Kings in 5 games. Minnesota defeats the Dallas Stars in 4 games. The Vegas Golden Knights defeat the Utah Mammoth in 6. And honestly, I might change this. I think I'm going to go with the Utah Mammoth to get all the way to the conference finals and still lose to Colorado. But I think that's the Cinderella story right there, is Utah. And it would be really cool to see. Maybe Edmonton does get by. Maybe that's Edmonton's best case scenario is Utah instead of Vegas. But that's just how I see it right now. I think as I think about it, I am going to go with Utah over Vegas there. And then that series right here between Utah and Edmonton is going to be a really huge series. Like I said before, Edmonton over Anaheim in 7. That series could honestly go either way, though. Boston does Boston things and takes care of Buffalo in 6 games, unfortunately for the Sabres. Vasilevsky stands on his head for this series and takes care of Montreal in 5 games. This series is a back-and-forth type series between Ottawa and Carolina. And this series is a grinded-out, physical, tough game between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Pittsburgh with Sidney Crosby in his maybe last run does it again and waves goodbye to the Philadelphia crowd in Game 6. Philadelphia has their hearts broken once again. Pittsburgh moves on. Carolina maybe takes care of Sidney Crosby's career with a win over them in the second round. Tampa Bay defeats Boston in the most unlikable series ever. Maybe the worst one would be maybe Tampa Bay and Florida. But anyways, Colorado just outskills Minnesota. I can honestly see Minnesota beating Colorado here. I think if Colorado does not, if they don't lose in the finals, if for whatever reason Colorado doesn't make the finals, it's because they lose to either Dallas or Minnesota. I don't see them losing to Anaheim. I don't see them losing to Vegas. I don't see them losing to Utah. So I think it's going to be if Colorado does not make it to the Cup Finals, it's because they lose in the second round against either Dallas or Minnesota. But I have Colorado moving on against Minnesota. Utah, the Cinderella story, moving on against the Edmonton Oilers, and Connor McDavid once again has his heart broken after everything that he does for that team. Colorado ends Utah's season. Carolina pulls the upset over Tampa Bay. And I can't pick Colorado or Carolina to win the cup. I just can't do it. I got them all of the Stanley Cup Finals. I've done that actually before. We'll see how long this lasts, but I am going to go with the President's Trophy winning Colorado Avalanche to win the Stanley Cup for the second time in 4 years, 5 years, something like that. And honestly, I like Colorado. I like Nathan MacKinnon. I like Cale Makar. So, but this playoff run, I think, would really, really be satisfying. Maybe having Buffalo instead of Boston would make it a little bit better. Obviously, if Boston and Tampa Bay both lose in the first round, best case scenario for me, really wouldn't be mad at anybody else winning the cup this year. As long as it's not Boston and Tampa Bay, though. So that is just going to be my thoughts, my real quick predictions for the Stanley Cup Finals. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have not checked out my NBA predictions for the playoffs this year and my mock draft for the first round, where I took all of the 32 picks and gave my predictions on what's going to happen, did a few trades on that. If you guys are an NFL fan, I'm positive that you guys will enjoy that. So please go check that out. If you guys have made it this far, please give this video a like. Please subscribe. I will be doing, instant reactions to not all these games, obviously, because woof, that would be bad. But if there is an exciting game, I will definitely do an instant reaction. Maybe even do a reaction of the Stanley Cup Finals once that gets into full swing, maybe game by game. We'll see. But that is going to do it for today. I'll see you when I see you.